It's a thing that I really love because we have a pretty sunny and warm temperature throughout the year. Where also, so I really also enjoyed that the city has a perfect measure. It's big enough so you never get bored of the city, but has the perfect size so you can go pretty everywhere by walk. So that's pretty convenient because the University of Córdoba is more like an open campus where all the faculties are distributed in different places of Córdoba, and that's so cool. So you can go by walk as said. We have faculty of philosophy and letter in the historical center. That's also where the PRESCO office is, and that's where I study. We are 2 minutes walk from the mosque. So having the chance to go and see the mosque when you go out from classes is awesome. Then you have the faculty of law, the faculty of education, and you can go pretty much everywhere by walk as said. So yeah, and about PRESCO, it's not only a language immersion, but also a cultural, because you will get to live with family and also have a community immersion with conversation partners. I was a conversation partner last year, and we tried to get culture, linguistic, and language closer to you from a perspective of how other college students from native speakers of Spanish live in Spain, and we came to many dinner together. We went to the cinema. Also last year we went party together. So we are like a big community with you guys and also many students from many Spanish students of the university. So we are like a big family and we do many things together, and you get to practice all the time Spanish as we use the language. So you will really get into the culture, not only from a linguistic point of view, but also from a cultural, community, and academic point of view.
Okay, thank you, Blanca. Angelo, could you go back to the first slide, please, for a second?
Yeah.
The one previous to that. There we go. Okay, so what Blanca was just saying is this is the historical center of Córdoba, and it's one of the nicest views you have in the front there, the Roman bridge. And Córdoba is a city that has many layers. And one of the most important layers is there's an entire Roman city underneath the city that there is today. So it's fascinating. Practically every place you go in Córdoba, there's some sort of evidence of the Roman times. If you go to the bus station, in the parking lot of the bus station, there's a whole Roman aqueduct. It's amazing. So there's the Roman bridge that crosses over the Guadalquivir River, which, as you know, probably is one of the most important rivers in Spain. And just over the river there in the center is the mosque cathedral, or cathedral mosque. And that's very close to where you will be studying. We're very close to the University of Córdoba, to the humanities building. And then in the background is the Sierra Morena, and that makes Córdoba, on the one hand, has a cooler part, which isn't very cool, but it's a little bit cooler than in the center of Córdoba. Córdoba gets very, very hot in the summer, but you wouldn't have to worry about that because you probably won't be there in the summer. During the year, it's just a nice temperature. Now it's just beautiful. It's just a nice cool temperature at night now, but gets warm during the day too. So it's a lovely city to walk in. As Blanca said, you can walk everywhere. The host families are all within walking distance, or pretty much all, maybe one or two that are not, but most of them are in walking distance of wherever you would need to go in Córdoba. But there's also good public transportation too. So that's a very positive thing about Córdoba. So if you go on to the next slide, right? Oh, so the PRESCO program is unique. It's different from other American programs in Spain. First of all, Córdoba is a unique destination. It's not, a lot of students go to Madrid or Barcelona or Seville or Granada, but Córdoba is unique in that there are not a lot of American students here, which makes it I think, a good destination because you're not as tempted to use English, but more tempted to use Spanish because you're very much immersed through this program. It is a full immersion program. So everyone who comes to this program has a level of Spanish that allows them to be conversant. It doesn't mean that it's perfect. It doesn't mean that it's even, a completely high level of Spanish language, but enough so that you can get along, so that you can understand, and so that you can communicate. And then while you're here, you really, really, really learn your Spanish and perfect it, because you will be fully immersed. What does that mean for us? We call these las cuatro patas, the four legs, or the four supports. It's language immersion, community immersion, cultural immersion, and academic immersion. And that's what I'm going to talk about real quickly, those four patas. Going back just for a minute to Córdoba, as I said, it's a unique destination, and it's very well connected by the fast train, the magnificent AVE. The city has a historic center, but it's also a very modern city all around the historic center. There's also, it's a normal modern city. And then, as Blanca mentioned, there's 4 World Heritage sites. And we take good advantage of those World Heritage sites in PRESHCO through excursions and classes that teach about those World Heritage sites. And then the climate I already mentioned. So let's get on to the immersion. We'll start with the academic immersion. What students do when they're here is they take 2 classes that are direct enrolled. In other words, you take classes alongside of your Spanish peers as if you were Spanish students. And you can take them from any degree program, which is what is called a grado here, an undergraduate degree program. You could take it from any degree program at all in the entire university system, except for medicine. The medical school are year-long courses, so that's a little bit more difficult for us. Most of the students will take their classes in humanities. So that's Spanish philology, translation, history. What else is there, Blanca, that I'm leaving out?
Education, STEAM,
right.
Varieties are located in Rabanales. Yeah. Right.
So art history, I'm still thinking of the humanities section. So art history also is a very big program. And then you can go to, as Blanca mentioned, we have a really good relationship with the education department. It's actually a whole building. And so if anyone's interested in teaching English as a second language or teaching Spanish, that's in a different building, but you can take classes there too. Also psychology. And then you can also take anything in the sciences, which is what in the science campus. It's a whole campus, and the science campus and the science degrees are very, very, very good. So you'll be taking 2 classes at the University of Córdoba, La UCO, it's called. And then you'll also take 2 classes that are organized by PRESHCO, but they are also taught by professors from the University of Córdoba. The difference there is they're classes that are just for PRESHCO students. So it's a little less stressful, a little bit more in a comfort zone. It's still all in Spanish, everything's in Spanish, but because you are only with other PRESHCO students and with professors who have taught for PRESHCO for many years, it's a little bit easier to manage the language in those classes. But everyone, the truth is that the students love both of those possibilities. They love the PRESHCO classes and they love the UCO classes. UCO classes are a little bit different in that there's a little bit more of a lecture format, but there's also a practical discussion group for every one of the classes as well. We are currently looking into the possibilities for you to study the art. Studio art. I'm trying to think. Studio art, music, and dance. Right now, we have the possibilities if someone is interested. So that's something that we're working on right now. Next slide, please. along with the academic immersion. And we consider this academic because it's really an integral part of the program. And that's where you learn what goes along with your classes and also a lot of language, are the excursions. We start out with a study tour after an intensive language course. This in the spring, we'll be doing the intensive language course in Granada. And in the fall, we'll be doing the intensive language course up in the nice cool north in August in Santander. And after that, we take 4 or 5 days and travel to a different part of Spain that's different from Córdoba, so that you get to see some other places that you might not be able to see while you're studying in Córdoba. We also have day excursions close by in the province of Córdoba. Córdoba is a pretty good sized province, and it has a great variety of climates and of food and landscapes. So we take a couple of excursions to different places in Córdoba. One is a small town that has only ceramics. It's a big ceramics series of ceramics factories and so on. And then we usually take a 2 or 3 day excursion either to Madrid, Segovia, and Toledo, or I think next semester we're going down further south to Cádiz, to some really interesting places that we try to incorporate monuments and also other entertaining activities. So, and then local visits here in the city of Córdoba. I mean, certainly there's enough to do in Córdoba. During the pandemic, when we could not leave the city of Córdoba, we had plenty to do. So that's it's always a packed semester of many things that you can do, traveling and so on. Also part of the academics are the internships. And again, we consider the academics because you are learning so much in these internships, language-wise and about the culture. So make sure you check out our website, PRESHCO.org, PRESHCO.org. And there on the internships page, which is under academic immersion, you'll see all of the possibilities that we have. Almost all of the students do some sort of an internship. Many of them teach English to children at one of the private schools close by. Up to the left is Eleanor, who's from Wellesley, and she did her internship reading the old manuscripts at the archives, at the historical archives. And I think in the middle was Cody, who was from Bates, and he was doing architectural excavations. So we have quite a variety. Also, if you like to work for NGOs, we have a couple of NGOs. One who works with migrant workers in Córdoba, for example. If you're interested in the health sciences, we have also an internship with the Association for Cerebral Palsy, which is a very important internship and that students enjoy greatly. Okay, next. So the linguistic immersion part, it is a requirement to use Spanish all the time, except of course in crisis situations. But it takes maybe 2 weeks to kind of get used to that. But we start out. These 2 pictures are of my home, and we have a ceremony there before the beginning of the semester where people commit to using Spanish all the time. They're pretty good about it. I wouldn't say 100% of the time they use Spanish, but probably 85%, which is all good, because at the end of the semester, the students are happy with what they've learned, and no one gets to the end saying, I wish I'd spoken more Spanish, because we really insist that is what the students want. And so that is what we can help them achieve their goals with learning Spanish and perfecting their Spanish especially. So that's what we call el compromiso PRESHCO. Okay, next. Then going on to cultural immersion. I mean, everything is cultural immersion. You're here, you're in a different culture all the time. So that's kind of hard to avoid. But the cultural immersion is, we do many, or we organize many activities. Blanca had mentioned, well, actually, Blanca had mentioned the compañeros de conversación, which is more community immersion. But with the compañeros, we go to soccer games, for example. El equipo de Córdoba is kind of a disaster. It's in the 3rd division, but that's okay. People are very enthused when they go to the games. So there's actually 2 Wellesley students and an Oberlin student who we went to a game last year, I think. Then we have a very close relationships with the sports department at the University of Córdoba. So to the right is Micaela, and she actually played soccer for the city team, the city women's team. Horseback riding and cooking, and there's just a lot of different things that you can participate in. Up to the left is the guitar class, the flamenco guitar class that we teach. And of course, the most popular class, curricular class or cultural class that we have are the Sevillanas down at the left-hand side. We also help students out with a cultural reimbursement. So if you want to do something outside of what PRESHCO organizes, you can do that too, and PRESHCO funds those other activities. Okay, next. And then community immersion, our fourth area that we consider one of the most important parts of your immersion experience here. The host families in Córdoba are amazing. They have been working for PRESHCO for many years. You really become part of the family. We just had lunch today, as a matter of fact, at one of the families, because one of the Wellesley students that's here right now, her parents were here. So her parents and the PRESHCO staff and Parker is her name. We all went and had lunch with the host family. Amazing lunch. She made paella. It was just a really nice time. Everything is included. Spanish host mothers are really very nurturing, and so they'll do your laundry, they clean your room. Every place has internet, and it's home cooked meals. They adapt to whatever types of meals, whatever types of food you like or you prefer to eat. So that's one of the most important parts of the program, and I think you'll see on the evaluations that is one of the most highly rated parts of the programs, the community immersion and the host families. There's your conversation partners. I don't know, Blanca, I think this was before your time, but this is, we do a lot of activities with them. And, we organize 3 or 4 things as a group, but then a lot of the students pair off and they go off and do other activities too that we also help support from the program. And okay, so that's a very quick overview of the program. I can get into a lot more details or answer any questions, but what's really good about this program also is that everything is included. If you don't want to spend any money other than what you've already paid for, everything is taken care of, even your flights, which is very unusual. Flights, you have full access to all of the University of Córdoba facilities. We do a lot of academic advising. We also help a great deal with any sort of problems that students might have, either in their classes or outside of the classes. So it's a pretty complete program. There are 4 of us. I think that they don't know. I think the next slide shows who we are. And that's me off to the left. Not a great picture, but oh well. Then Ava, who's the second person, she helps out with the classes and all of the academic advising. Maribel, who is a very interesting character, and she's the one that does all of the housing and the internships and a couple of other things that she takes care of. So you'd really be working quite a lot with Maribel. Maribel is from a small town in the province of Córdoba. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to understand her, but she's a very outgoing person, so she helps a lot. And Encarni, who's the one at the right, is also from Córdoba. She's from the city of Córdoba, and she is mostly involved with the conversation partners. She does all of our social media, and she's also the person in charge of any sort of health problems that anyone might have while they're in Córdoba. There's 2 other part-time people because we have a locale where we have our guitar classes and Sevillanas classes, and so you'll meet 2 other people as well. But this is the main staff, the 4 of us. Okay, so I think that's about it. What I had to say. These are the places that you'll see while you're there. I think there may be 2 more slides with just a little bit of information.
That's right.
Okay.
And this is
So,
probably,
yeah.
I can jump in, Kim.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Mhm.
Thank you so much for staying up until what is, you called it a normal Spanish time, but that sounds like a really late evening. So that's right. We have for the PRESHCO application process, in fact, different than other programs. Kim mentioned that it's unique in the sense of the location and what's included in the cost of the program. These are all true. But it's also unique in that it has 2 application cycles. We, of course, would love to see those of you interested in spring 2024 applying early by our February 20th deadline, so that we can get you approved and start talking more with you about outside awards that you might be eligible for and scholarships to supplement the Smith grants and aid that you already received. But there is an October deadline for spring of 2024. So if you're in the room thinking about spring of your junior year, then you can aim for the best and submit your application materials by February 20th, with everyone else planning their study abroad for next year, or wait until October and sort of condense everything to right around this time next year and apply, I think, the first Monday in October for spring semester. If you're thinking of fall 2023 or the remainder of the academic year, which is there's the potential, of course, for you to do an academic year in Córdoba, then your deadline is that February 20th of this year for all of next year. Okay, so that online application is going to ask basically 3 main things from you: a statement, and then two things that require basically someone else's attention other than your own. That's the plan of study, which gets approved by your major advisor, and after that, the departmental study abroad advisor. Some of you might be in a department that the major advisor serves as that person, but you'll find more information on our advising section of the website about the specific departmental contacts. Do you have a question about that?
Yeah, what if you're double majoring?
If you're double majoring, it's a great question. You must submit 2 plans of study for the program to be approved, 1 per major. And when you get into the application, there's a good reason for that. It's because the form itself will ask of you, the form itself will ask of you to submit the courses by major, or are they inside the major or are they outside the major? So what I'm sharing with you now inside this very small beige area of the screen here is an application. And if you go to the required documents section, you'll see the linked PDF version of the plan of study. And there's a sheet which I encourage all of you to read with many of the instructions, including, do I need 1 of these per major, or can I submit 1 for both? And it's 1 per major. So there you would fill in major 1, and on the other document, major 2. And likely the checkboxes are essentially just going to be flipped on those, but yeah, you'll submit 2 distinct copies, 1 per major. Sure.
We don't know what classes we're taking in Córdoba when we're accepted, so we would just fill out like freshman and sophomore year.
You should fill out all 8 semesters. Yeah, and in fact, it's your best prediction also of the courses that you would take in senior year when you return. There are some notes to that effect on the instruction sheet of the plan of study, stating that like once it gets to outside of the class, outside of your major classes in your senior year, you can just state elective. And for everything inside of your major, you need to know kind of, here's when I think I'll take these courses and wrap up my degree or major requirements. But for those that are offered in PRESHCO, you can see the latest that have been offered and use that as a snapshot anyway as to what could potentially be offered for future terms to build your plan of study. It's a good question, like what happens if something changes? And it really is a snapshot in time. So it's okay if by the time you land in Córdoba, things have changed and you have to switch your schedule around. But Kim, would you say it's pretty regularly. The courses that are offered at Córdoba, at least in the PRESHCO Center, are.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we do put the classes up fairly soon. So for next fall, for example, they'll be up by March or so, April, and they're kind of repetitive. So whatever you see, maybe that's happening this year in the fall and next semester in the spring will be, if not exactly the same, something quite similar for next year. So hopefully we'll get a lot of Smith students over here and we can add some additional ones, because right now there aren't, there's, I think, maybe 5 going on right now, but anyway, if you see what has been offered this year, what is being offered this year, that's fairly similar to what you'll see next year. And like I said, we do put the courses up fairly early, so you should be able to see that right away.
I would just add, it's more about not having, they want to make sure you won't have a credit shortage if you go abroad.
Right.
And it's easier if you don't have to necessarily take a major course abroad, because that department may not accept it. It's more about taking your 4 courses.
Yeah.
Students often change, and that's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
You get a reference letter from
To receive Smith approval, you don't require a reference letter, but Kim, I think in the PRESHCO application you do, right? Academic.
Yes. Yeah, it's a letter from a language professor to let us know what your language level is. And there's also a self-evaluation of language too. So we get both your own perspective and the perspective of one of your professors.
That's great. There's a comment that I just want to make here about the visa paperwork, which is that this is a part of the application that falls outside of those inclusions in the finance side of things that Kim mentioned, right? So yes, there's a lot that's baked into the program cost. Do be prepared to have a little cost associated with the Spanish visa application process. And I don't know what those fees are generally, because our colleagues at Wellesley are so gracious with their time and generally manage that. I was telling Monica earlier, thank goodness. It's one of the European visas I'm not hands-on with, but they're generally small. For example, in Italy, it was around $50 for the application.
Yeah, that's about what it is too. 65, I think it is, or something.
Okay, great. And so that is one aspect that came to mind throughout with finances that does fall outside of things. I don't know, Kim, are there also like something in addition that you might be familiar with in a semester here too, is if you have, for example, those of you interested in studio art. I know you're looking into these options, Kim, you mentioned that, but there could be course fees associated with the materials. And again,
PRESHCO covers everything.
Oh, PRESHCO will cover that. Great.
Yes, all class materials are paid for by PRESHCO.
Great. Okay. Yeah, of course, this is maybe putting the cart way before the horse, but the last sort of bubble that you see here is that we, of course, will offer pre-departure orientation and cover those last minute questions that you might be thinking about as far as banking or how do I get in touch with people back home, phone plans, and that sort of thing, much closer to the date of your departure. So spring 23 pre-departure orientations are coming up in the next month or so, right around the end of classes. And
right.
Kim, is there also content from your side as well?
With the pre-departure orientation, yes. We also hold 2 pre-departure orientations that touch on every single one of the aspects that you're interested in while you're here. Classes and housing and anything that you have that you need to know. So
great. And
yeah,
there was just a note about COVID on the previous slide, but I've heard, at least from Monica and Florence, and I think probably you might say the same, Kim, that most folks are now operating with very few to no restrictions at all on the ground in Córdoba. Recently on campus here too, things have become a lot more relaxed with case numbers on the decline. But of course, we're happy to answer questions about health and safety. perspective.
And it's still there. You know, we keep thinking every once in a while, you know, we'll think, oh yeah, I haven't heard about it for a while, and then boom, one of the students gets COVID. So I mean, we do have protocols still, and we not restrictions, but we do have suggestions that we have students follow. And if someone does get COVID, we've had 2 students this semester, no, 3 students this semester. And so, you know, it's still a thing, but fortunately, unless you're, you know, feeling very ill, you don't need to stay home necessarily, but masking is still a thing here too. So you still see a lot of people around Córdoba with masks. So there's that. I just wanted to mention real quickly too, there are only 2 students from Smith here this semester, but certainly I'd be happy to put anyone in touch with them. But last semester, there were 17 students from Smith who are now seniors, and they're on campus. And I'm sure any of them would be willing to meet with anybody who would like to, you know, ask questions. I don't know if you might be organizing something with them, Angelo, but I saw them all in September when I happened to be on campus, and they were, you know, they're very enthused about PRESHCO and very willing to answer any questions.
Every time I let them know that there's a chance to talk to prospective students, they all chime in immediately.
It was a very enthusiastic group last semester.
Yeah, also I will be happy to talk to you, and if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them. Or yeah, about the city, about UCO, about the program, I will be super happy to chat with you.
Sure.
You said you could do an academic year, it's 1 semester.
Absolutely. No, you can apply for approval for the academic year, starting right now. The academic year applications are open and available. That means building a plan of study with the whole year in mind, and both semester courses from the PRESHCO list and the UCO classes outside of the center that you will be building your 2 semesters. But yeah.
And the coming for the full year is really highly recommended, because at the end of the year, your Spanish is perfect. Seriously, it's a big a really good deal to come for the whole semester, the whole year.
Inevitably, also by week 3, you know, from Córdoba, from Geneva, from all over the world, we have students reaching out to the office asking, wait, I only applied for approval for the fall. Like, how long can, you know, like, when's the latest that I'm going to turn to campus? So they extend their approval. So that's also an option for those who are thinking of maybe just 1 semester. I'll start with fall, but you know, come the start of the fall semester, basically late September, we'd be expecting to hear back from you saying, I think I want to stay for the full academic. That's possible.
I should also mention, and I didn't include this in the slides because we're just piloting it this year, Angela, the summer program. It's not a standalone summer program. What we're going to pilot this year is to have students come for the month of August to Santander, up to the north, and do an extra 4 weeks, I think it is, 4 weeks of an intensive language course. So you get a little bit of a jump start on even the intensive language course and the semester or the year. Those are for students who are either want to spend the summer in Spain and then the first semester, or those who are feeling a little bit not so confident with their Spanish and would like to really spend a month in a beautiful city up on the north, on the beach, at a nice university with really, really good intensive language courses before they have to go to Córdoba and start with their direct enrollment at the University of Córdoba, which is a little more stressful. So if anyone is interested in that, you can also sign up for that on the website already. So and there's information on the site regarding that pre-session program.
Very nice.
I have a question about the pre-session program. Is that only available for students who are going to go in the fall semester? Are students for the
pre-session
in the summer, if students were going to apply for the spring, would they not be able to do that session, or is it just for the fall?
You're asking a question that was one of the first things that I thought of when we started talking about the summer session. At this point, it's really just for those who are coming in the fall, because it's not a standalone program. In other words, if you were to come to that, it doesn't give you like summer credit or summer university credit or anything like that. Certainly, you know, I don't think that there would be a problem if you wanted to do that, but it's not, it was really thought for, you know, it was created for the fall semester students or academic year students. But, you know, if you wanted to come twice to Spain in 1 year, I don't think there would be a problem with that.
I would just say, if students go in the spring, which is more common these days, there's a way to extend your spring semester by doing an internship after courses are over in May. So
Correct.
it would help you get an internship, and you can apply for your praxis funding.
Yes.
Well, that's a really nice way to have a semester. Plus, I don't know how long do students stay for that, 6 weeks maybe, or I don't know how long it is.
Yeah, praxis is quite a large number of hours. So, for example, well, let me think. The person who stayed last year that was a Wellesley student on a different scholarship that she had to be there for 8 weeks, I think it is. But from Smith, the praxis program, we've had several students that stay on, and they'll do archaeological excavation, for example, or work with the Cerebral Palsy Association. And I think that they stay for, I believe it's 6 weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
It's 220
Do that.
hours the last time I checked.
How much? How many?
220,
Right. Yeah.
a little less than 40 hours a week, 6 weeks.
Right.
Something else?
What's the acceptance rate for applications?
It's a great question. What's the acceptance rate for applications? This is not like applying to college. Okay, you've already done the work and shown that you're eligible, that you are a hard worker, right? We do have 3.0 GPA requirement. The other things that we're looking for really when we're talking in the office about approving applications are good standing with the college in the broadest sense, right? So Molly mentioned no credit shortage, right? So that would be kind of on the academic side. You can't also have, for example, any sort of financial hold on your account, behavioral sort of disciplinary action. So those things are rare, you know, no stress, I would say, when you're thinking about applying for the program. It's not the same as applying to college at all. It's really, if you want to do the PRESHCO program, you can apply just for the PRESHCO program and you don't need a backup. So when you write your statement, same story. A lot of students will ask the question, is it like writing my statement for the Common App when I was applying to college? We're looking for some thought in that statement. We'll scan, of course, and make sure that it's not, oh, every weekend I want to leave and go to Ibiza or something. You know, and that there's a good rationale for your program. Why now? Why Córdoba? But beyond that, it's really just the eligibility requirements. But thanks for asking that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question about like the more social aspect of PRESHCO. So if you use this program, it seems like there's a lot of built-in like travel time and that type of thing, which all sounds really fun. But is there also like open weekends of lots of time to yourself kind of as well, like just to be a student there, or is just a lot of the time taken up by like structured events?
It's we try to strike a good balance between the two. There certainly are free weekends. In fact, this weekend that's coming up, there's a free weekend and a group of students are going to Morocco, for example, with there's a student travel agency, and and most every semester a group of students will go to Morocco for a weekend. I would say probably, you know, there's certainly enough time to travel. And I would say that we encourage students to stay in Spain as much as possible and travel in Spain because there's so much to see and because it's so easy to travel around here. But most students will go out of the country probably one weekend, either to Italy or to France or to England or to Morocco, for example. But Certainly, it's, we don't, it's the program has a lot to offer because we want to be able to offer as much as possible so that people can take true advantage of the semester and with everything included. But, certainly it's the free weekends are your weekends. It's not every single weekend is not a required activity. Let's put it that way.
Thank you.
Welcome.
There was another question. Yeah, sure.
Sorry. Could you give us some insight about transferring credits for major? I know what Molly just mentioned, that many students won't take credits inside their major, but is it possible for, not about major minors, it's possible for them to transfer credits from one of those?
Yes, especially for government. I think the government department tends to be more flexible in terms of what they accept versus probably for engineering, you don't need any courses if you go over there. But it would depend on the department, and you would want to talk to your department. The study abroad advisor might have that information.
That's right. the Gov department is one exception. They don't have the study abroad advisor in the department. So it really is your major advisor making that determination. And they can take a stab at it the first time around to say, this looks okay for now, but they usually reserve the right at the end to say, I would like to see, the final assessment, the balance of textbooks used throughout the term or different items to make that determination. But going into it, your plan of study being approved is your way of saying, right now at this moment, the department's okay with this course counting for credit inside the major. Yeah.
For the course descriptions that are offered on the PRESHCO website, is there a way to get a syllabus for those, or is it just something that is advice? If I say I want to use them to advise the Latin honors distribution.
Yeah, thanks. So Kim, if you didn't pick that up, the question
No.
was, beyond the course descriptions, are students able to access a syllabus for the courses?
Yes, the courses that are being offered right now, the syllabi are up there. They're called guías docentes. I think we have it in Spanish on the website. So the PRESHCO course syllabi are up. The ones for the spring will be up fairly shortly. And then you can access any of the syllabus from any of the courses on the UCO website. It's not very user friendly, but I can, if anybody is interested in a particular subject, I certainly can help you find exactly what you're looking for, and then send you the link to the guía docente, to the syllabus for that class.
And the PRESHCO website is very user friendly and has some guidance to that effect. When you're looking at the course descriptions for University of Córdoba, there's a whole lot of text here that helps talk about specifically how to find within this department. I think down here there's some guide, isn't there? Suggestions.
Mhm.
And so that's a great place to start. And then if you need further help after you've exhausted these resources, locating, let us know.
Blanca I'm sure Blanca knows how to navigate the website, just so she can help anybody out too. I should say, and I forgot to mention this, we always look at the students' majors, minors, concentrations, and so on, and we will send you a list of courses that we suggest based on what we think you would be interested in, and also classes, especially the UCO classes that previous students have taken and have enjoyed. So if you want to take our suggestions, that's great, your work is done. But if you still want to look around for other possibilities, that's also true. And it's a big university. It has I can't remember now, maybe 13,000 students or so. So there's a lot that is offered here, many classes. And like I said, they all have syllabus, they all have their syllabus on the website. So you can find anything. And to tell you the truth, we're actually translating a lot of those syllabi, but to tell you the truth, if you run it through Google Translate, it does a really nice job of translating everything that you need in case one of your advisors or department chairs or something needs to see that in English. It's as simple as running it through Google Translate, and that will do a pretty good job of translating the content of the class. And of course, you can see the bibliography too.
I think we have time for one more question. there's one out there. I have to say, I was at classroom presentations last week on the campus of Bucknell University for the Smith and Hamburg program that they approved. And I was shocked how few students were asking questions. I miss Smith. I really miss Smith when I was on campus at Bucknell because students here are so engaged. You've all been amazing. I just want to leave on the note that you can book me or Lisa or come in to chat with a peer advisor on the Study Abroad website. Took me a while to get there, top of the page. You have to click through to one of the like tiles if you go to just /study abroad. And once you're on applying and funding or choosing your program, click about us and you'll have access to our calendar booking appointments. Neither of our peer advisors, unfortunately, is a PRESHCO alum. Their applications came in too late, Kim.
Oh, those Spaniards.
But they can, of course, gladly share like that student perspective, at least from their programs and kind of the ins and outs of having returned from Denmark and London anyway. But as mentioned, we've got a great resource in Blanca and a lot of.
You can make an appointment with me through WhatsApp. Yeah. So I think you have to have that degree, right? So whenever so whenever you have any question about Córdoba, I'm not sure about if this subject will fit my schedule or my requirement. I can help you finding out or reaching out to the professor even. Whatever you need about Córdoba, Hugo, I will be here to help you with this conversation.
Okay, thank you all so much. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you all. Let me know if you need anything more.
Yep, you got it.
Buenas noches.
Buenas bien.